Welcome, everyone, to episode number 99 of Chatting with Nuts, the last time we will ever be in double digits. And I am joined tonight by a wonderful human being, who's someone who I've missed very dearly. Just like last episode, I kind of almost reintroduced my audience to Rid. And I feel like I'm kind of reintroducing everyone that watches my channel to our friend Andy Smith. Andy, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. Jimmy, thank you so much for having me on to the 99th episode. I feel
Big.
so, yeah, like privileged to be on the last double digit. And clearly, if the series goes downhill once it gets to triple digits, I'll be like the climax. Now that won't happen, Jimmy, but I'm just happy that I got in with the double digits.
Hey, I'm just glad that you showed up because you messaged me 15 minutes ago and said, I forgot my laptop at work. I'm going to be late. And I was like, this is ironic because you were the first guest that was ever late to Chatting with Nuts like 80 episodes ago.
I know, episode 44, I think. I looked it up earlier today, what the last one was. And yeah, apparently I don't feel like I'm a late person, but something about Jimmy, maybe you just make me nervous, Jimmy. So I just, come late.
I do have that effect on people. Actually, our good friend Murphy is in the chat. She said, how dare this man make us wait? I mean, Murphy was very nervous. She was almost passing out whenever we did our in-person episode. Actually, it's mostly because my room was 105 degrees, unfortunately. But I have that effect on people, but it's all good. You're here. We only started, 3 minutes late? I don't think that's that bad. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's better than Alan does, right? I don't know if that's true. I just want to throw Alan under the bus early on in this episode.
Oh, I think almost certainly better than Alan. And also, you're not screaming yet. So you're way ahead of schedule. You're doing great.
Yet. We'll see. We'll see what kind of takes you have on books I love. Oh, Rid is here. Hi, Rid.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. My goal is to beat Rid's watch numbers since she was the last episode, and we are sort of very similar timed. That's my competitive nature coming in.
I had no idea that this was a competition, but I like the spirit of this. I feel like if Rid had known, maybe she would have promoted, went on Red. I don't know, but
exactly. That's why you wait to say it until you're actually on the episode.
Murphy is claiming that I tried to kill her when she was here, and that is simply not true. I tried to provide.
How dare you? The queen of booktube you tried to murder?
I know I didn't try to murder her. I tried to provide her a good conversation.
Jimmy, I believe women, and Murphy said you tried to kill her. So
you know what? Fair enough. I can't question that. I don't want to lose this battle. But I'm just saying, I gave her a good conversation. I gave her fried pickles, which she was very much wanting. I mean, I did everything I could. I bought her a one-piece backpack as a gift for coming to see me. I thought that was very, very kind.
That's very kind. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes I got to.
However, trying to kill someone does kind of exit out all the other kindness.
Well, it's good and bad. I think, Stannis Baratheon would say, not all good deeds wipe out the bad. Not all the bad deeds wipe out the good. You got to take it for what it's worth.
There you go.
You would agree, right?
Wisdom from Game of Thrones.
There's plenty in there. William says, diabolical from Andy. I could not agree more. Evie said Jimmy demonetized a few times over now with the frequent uses of murder and kill. Yeah, there was also the time I threatened to paint the walls red with my brains. That one got me in trouble. It happens. It's just how it goes on Chatting with Nuts. Feel like
what can men do against such reckless AI filters that catch things out of context?
That is exactly my point. I'm glad someone finally had the bravery to say it. Bep said, I see the superior version of the Iliad and Odyssey editions behind you, Andy. What editions are these?
Which side are they? The Fagles, translation of Fagles is the best. Robert Fagles. These are Penguin Classic editions. They're excellent. Strongly recommend if you like Homer. These are my two faves. I did a short classics read through in 2021, and that's when I got these. Yeah, great. I also have the very hot take that I like the Iliad better than the Odyssey, since we're talking about Homer. But there it is.
I mean, at least you've read them. I think I own them, but I have not read them, which is kind of poor manners on my part, right? If I'm going to have those two legendary books, I should probably have read them by now, but I haven't. But I think I will be reading more classics in 2026. You're a classics guy. You had the little spree.
Yeah, I like classics. I've really tried since COVID to diversify as much as possible the my reading because I love fantasy sci-fi like all of us, but like
Yeah.
I've been it's really rewarding to go outside of that, but I have to push myself to do it. So things like that really help.
Yeah. And is there something, is there a certain person among the classics that you prefer?
Oh, my favorite author not named Steven Erikson is Leo Tolstoy. I think
Oh,
Anna Karenina and War and Peace are two of like the best works of fiction out there, and I think everyone should give them a try at some point in their lives. Specifically, Anna Karenina, I think everyone should read. If they're a reader, you should read Anna Karenina at some times. It's just incredible. Have you read Tolstoy before, Jimmy?
yeah. Tolstoy is my favorite classics. I'm not super well versed, so I'm not going to pretend like I've read everything. But yeah, Tolstoy to me is like one of my favorite authors. Death of Ivan Ilyich is
Yeah.
so good. It's so good. I think I've read all of his short stories. At least I could get my hands on. I've read a good chunk of Anna Karenina, but I got to the Russian farming talk and kind of was like, I'll get back to this at some point, and I will.
And that's
and I
about
will.
400 pages in, I think. Is that when they start
Yeah.
threshing wheat for
Yes.
several pages? It is definitely a
Yes.
vibe.
It's something. I don't know if vibe's the word I would use, but it's a doozy, if you will. I think I will go back to that book. I'm intimidated by War and Peace. Do you feel like that's like the hardest of his stuff?
No, actually, it's the longest. So what I would say for people who want to read War and Peace is you should read it while you're doing other things. Like I like read a couple of chapters before bed, like and you're reading other stuff because
Okay.
it is a long sort of meandering story. And I will say also I really like that like period of history. So like the Battle of Austerlitz is like exciting. I know it's coming and I know not everyone is like that. But I think it's just like it's just so well written. You very quickly become attached to these characters. And just like a lot of Tolstoy, there's a lot of great like descriptions of dinners at these like Russian clubs in Moscow and like these very in-depth portraits of people's inner lives. It's really great. But it is, I think, a slower experience. Like I read War and Peace, I think like over 4 months while I was doing other stuff.
And that's still pretty quick because that book is so long.
It is big. I think it's like 1,400 pages.
Yeah, I think
Hold on.
it's at least 12. I mean, it's bigger than the fantasy bricks that I own, which are quite numerous. Yeah, that is a weapon.
This is my War and Peace,
Oh, that's a
and it's
nice
really
edition.
good.
What edition is that?
So this is another Penguin Classics. This is not Penguin Classics does not pay me for this, but
Uh,
the translation is by Anthony Briggs. I say that very specifically because I think the translation of Russian novels is very important. If
mhm.
you find like old books, they're going to be Constance Garnett, I think is her name, is like an English gentlewoman who translated them in the 18th century, and they're the ones that don't have any copyrights. So a lot of like, if you find them on Kindle or whatever, are going to be Constance Garnett. She is not, in my opinion, a great translator. I don't know Russian, but like the voice feels very English and not quite as interesting as some of the more modern translations. So that's what I would recommend. I did not
Okay.
expect to talk so much Tolstoy at this.
Oh,
I'm very excited about this.
dude, I love Tolstoy. I think for me, it felt, even though there's centuries between us at this point, right? I still felt like he understood like the truth of mortality when I read Death
Hmm.
of Ivan Ilyich. And then I just think he's really readable. I obviously it's translated, but I just thought that he wrote in a manner that was still very modern and fun to read, to be honest with you. Just like
Yeah.
very interesting. And I think so. Is Anthony Briggs? Is that his name?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
double check that. I think that's the translator. Yep.
Okay, very cool. Murphy said, I've been meaning to read Tolstoy for a while. What do you recommend as the best entry point that's under 500 pages? Death of Ivan Ilyich, for sure.
Yeah, you can read that in an afternoon. That's like 110 pages, I think. Murphy could read it in like 15 minutes. It's really, really good. I think that's
Oh,
the right call.
yeah. And Murphy, if you read that, we have to talk about it because that book decimated me on an airplane. I was like weeping and just like going through an existential crisis while there's a guy next to me who's eating peanuts. And I'm just like, this is so awful. Why did I do this to myself? We
That's Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that I had a similar experience, not with Tolstoy, but I watched The Wind Rises, which is a Miyazaki movie. So he's the guy who does all the Studio Ghibli
Mhm.
films. And I saw it for the first time on a phone in the airplane, and I was literally like tears, like ugly crying, and tears were like coming out of my eyes and hitting the screen. I don't. It was so. It wasn't embarrassing because it was such a beautiful movie, but like speaking of like existential moments in an airplane, I was like trying not to make a scene in the airplane. I was by myself. It was just me in a plane to a convention. But so I feel you. I feel you for your Ivan Illich plane moment.
I am one of these people who just always ends up picking the wrong book for an airplane. Like whether it's me laughing out loud or me getting emotional, it's just I'm determined. Apparently, I just have like an embarrassment fetish. Like I just love being embarrassed in public. It's just like I just can't help myself, but to make myself look like a fool. But you know what? Somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah, I'm sure the people on the plane appreciate, or really maybe don't appreciate, that is the case.
Hayward said, "What about Brothers Karamazov, Andy? Fyodor Pavlovich, all-time literary scoundrel."
Yeah, I have kind of a hot Russian literature take that I think Dostoevsky is okay. Uh,
Hug me through the screen. Hug me through the screen. Ah, thank God.
Brothers K is fine. Crime and Punishment, I do think is a masterpiece. I think that's by far his best. And The Idiot, if you've ever read it, like actively makes me angry. When I read Dostoevsky's The Idiot, because his whole pitch is that goodness and innocence are kind of the same thing, and
Mm,
I hate that view of goodness.
okay.
And so yeah, sorry about my hot takes, but Dostoevsky was like never has hit for me, and Tolstoy is in another class for me.
Oh man, me and you are gonna get along famously. Michael Katz for Dostoevsky, though, says Jared Henderson. He said, "I also don't read Russian." Fair, fair.
Yeah, we're kind of bullshitting translations, but
Yeah,
oh,
we can.
Murphy.
I'm very happy about this development. I hope she likes it. Like
It's
is a
it's
weird
so
word.
good.
Like is a
Yeah,
weird
I hope
word.
I hope you're in a place to contemplate death, because that's what you're going to be doing. But you're also, Murphy, I believe, reading The Crippled God, which is also similarly going to have you contemplating death. So you'll just be in that headspace for a while. It's fine.
Yeah, it's gonna mess with you one way or another. I think even if you end up hating it, I think it's still you would hate it because you feel differently about death. So like it's gonna bring up a conversation either way. I'm excited to talk to you about it, Murphy. Rid said you need a book that is whelming for the plane. That is so true. You want a 3-star read for an airplane. You never want to read a book of the
Jimmy,
year.
Jimmy, what's the last book you read that was just like perfectly whelming?
Oh goodness. Oh gosh. Okay, that's a great question. Do you have one that comes to mind?
No, that's I'm pulling up my like
We're
list of
both
books.
scrambling.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I asked the question. I should have been able to answer it.
I would
This is gonna be
say perfectly okay. Like just it was fine. I would say The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Naylor was probably the book that I was just like, that was fine. It was a good book. There were some things I liked about it, some things I didn't, but overall, I had a good time with it.
Yeah, mine is, yeah, this is probably right. The Red and the Black by Stendhal. I just read that. Speaking of Tolstoy, because one of the hard things about that book, so it's like a turn of the set, also turn of the 17th century into the 18th century. Nope, I have that backwards. 18th century into the 19th century book. I just kept thinking like, I wish I was reading Tolstoy. Stendhal was like his prose like are there, but not is there. Not, anyway, that's not really important. But that was the last book that was like, meh.
By the way, Jared's blocking you for not liking Dostoevsky.
Oh, okay. I was like, which one of us is blocked? Okay.
When you said he was just okay, he said, okay.
I know. Maybe I should read The Brothers K again, but it didn't hit me.
If you do, I would read it with you because I started it and actually started to enjoy it and then put it down. I do that a lot. I have a problem with longer
It w-
books.
it would be interesting to read. So the last time I read Dostoevsky was when I was in seminary. So I was much more religious than I currently am. And obviously Brothers K is a very religious text. Um, but I feel like I would have liked it more then than I do now based on my views of Christianity. But I don't know. Jared, maybe I should give it another try.
I mean, I am definitely down to give it another try. I think that is a book that I would like to read with someone else. I love structured read-alongs with another person where it's like, hey, we're going to do 10 pages a day, and we might not hit those 10 pages. We may have to skip a few days if we're busy, but like just knowing like, oh, just 10 and I'm going to talk about it. There are books that like can actually stand up to that kind of read-along. And I imagine Brothers Karamazov would probably be among them, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
So perfectly mid book for an airplane. I think that that's an appropriate thing. I am kind of curious, whenever we were talking about like literary fiction, is the fact that you read Hamnet recently, right?
Yep, I did. I just finished it last week.
Give everyone a pitch. This book keeps coming up on my channel.
Do you like the fantastical, small, magical things that make life delightful and yet also at the same time make it unbearable if you lose those things? That's what Hamnet is about. I mean, it's a beautiful story, especially if you. I mean, how much do you know about Hamlet, the play, Jimmy?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Bro, I don't know shit.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or in taking up.
I've heard these words before.
And them. You should read Hamlet. Hamlet is like incredible. It's even if you like don't really like Shakespeare or you don't like plays, it's like a murder mystery. It's fantastical. It's a little horror. Anyway, great.
Okay.
What Hamlet is really, so like the to be or not to be, like obviously it's a joke because it's one of the most famous monologues ever, but like the whole thing is that the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, like there are both incredible good and incredible bad things that happen in life, and having to live in that tension is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Hamnet is about the opposite side of that, because Hamnet is like a kings and queens, very dramatic. Hamnet is a very everyday kind of story about living in a small village in England at that time. Shakespeare's name is never mentioned. Everyone else gets names. Shakespeare does not. He is always like Agnes's husband or Hamnet's father. And I think the purpose of that is to show that the beauty of these Shakespeare plays and these human experience comes from the actual people that were involved in his life. It's beautifully written. It's wonderful. It's like 300 pages. And I just think it's delightful.
That's a big selling point for me. Real big on 300 pages or less.
Plus the movie's coming out soon, and you can be like, have you read the book after you see the movie? And that really makes you feel good, right?
Is the movie going to the theaters, or is this like Netflix?
No, it's theaters. It's directed by Chloe Zhao, who did the Eternals, okay movie, but also did Nomadland and The Rider, which are both really good movies. It's starring Paul Mescal and what's her name? Another actress that I should know her name.
Jackie Chan?
Jessie Buckley.
Okay.
It's going to be really, really good. Yeah, you should. Hamnet's very, very good. And it's a great like change of pace for me. Like I've been finishing off like novels of the Malazan Empire. I've been reading a lot of Joe Abercrombie. And then it was like a good cleanser. Yes, Tuesday Fox. Thank you. Hamlet is great.
Yes. Tuesday Fox said, Andy, speaking the truth, I'm not huge on Shakespeare, but Hamlet is life. I'll tell you what, I actually have Hamlet in a collection of Shakespeare. Maybe I'll try to give that a read before the end of the year. I possibly could like it, but now that you've brought up Shakespeare, I have to ask you the question I ask everyone. Do you think Shakespeare existed?
Yes.
You think it was one person?
I think for the most part, all of this is one person. Yeah. I kind of like an Occam's razor. I think the easiest explanation is the easiest one. Is like there's one guy who's really good at writing plays. Maybe like one or two of them, were like falsely attributed later and just kind of were in collections. But for the most part, I think all of them were there.
Okay, firm.
That's not really interesting. That's my thought on history. Is generally there's not conspiracies when people want there to be conspiracies.
See, I like that conspiracy because it's very harmless. I don't think it harms really anybody. And
it's super fun.
It is super fun. And you just absolutely killed it in the water. I had a whole 15-minute block for this, and now I have to erase it because Andy goes.
Sorry. Yeah, Shakespeare was a woman. How crazy is that? Actually, 6 women. I don't know. Is this working? Is this?
Yes, this is much better. Yes.
Okay,
Did
good.
you know Alan hates women?
You know what? I had a suspicion, and when you say that, it makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's from Florida. T. Baggins said, I just finished Remains of the Day after Jimmy recommended about a year ago. Truly profound, devoured it. T. Baggins, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. I'm always nervous when people pick up the book because it is a fact about a butler taking a vacation, but it is, without a doubt, if I had to pick a perfect book, I think that would be the one I would pick. So that makes me happy. I'm glad to hear that. Andy, I can see you Googling.
Yep, I'm Googling Remains of the Day. And
There's a movie.
I knew, obviously, but this reminded me that it's a 1989 Booker Prize winning novel by
Banger.
Kazuo Ishiguro. I've not read it.
Do that for me. Will you do that for me? It's like 250 pages.
I have so many things to read, but I'll put it on. I'll put it on there. We'll get to it someday.
Come on. Come on, man.
I said yes. It was a slow yes. There, I started to yell. I did a little bit of an Alan there. Jimmy, tell me a little bit, because I mentioned that I kind of tried to like still stay at sci-fi fantasy, but also branch out. You, I think, also have made like active choices on your channel to branch out in a lot of different ways. Tell me about that journey and that decision.
Well, I think it just comes down to the fact that I just wanted a lot of different types of stories. And I also think that there's a lot of focus on different aspects of writing that can be interesting. So for me, I really love grounded first person, live this life with this person stories. Like I really enjoy that from a literary perspective. And there are times where I don't want to remember 80,000 capital letter words that are in the glossary. There's sometimes where I just don't feel like doing that. And I also think that when I am feeling down and not good, I actually prefer to read something more grounded. Escapism has been a very fluent thing for me in the sense that I have escaped into Westeros before, I've escaped into Middle Earth before, but I have also found a way of escaping into Remains of the Day and living like a butler for a while who's wrestling with their own kind of conflicts. So I think to me, it was just wanting to see different ways of exploring story and what those stories can be about. And honestly, I will say there's something very impressive about someone who can make a story that's so simple, so impactful or dramatic. I think because it's not hard to make a dragon interesting, but it might be harder to make a butler interesting. So they're two different types of stories, I guess, but I don't know. And also I think it was inevitable. I think it's inevitable that you will eventually, if you read enough, you will branch out. Not everybody does, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But for me, I've always been a person who wants to try to sample everything. Like I'm a tinkerer. I will change things up in my life just to see what happens. And I just read a romance novel this month because why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I try it? I can't say I don't like romance. I've never read it. I don't know anything about it. So I should try it. So
How did it go? Am I allowed to ask how it went, or are you saving that for your end of month wrap up?
No, that's totally fine. I read Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I had a great time. I liked it. I liked the book. I don't think it's the book that will call my name and I'll read every Emily Henry ever, but I so shockingly had a really good time. And it kind of reminded me of a lot of the rom-coms from like the late 2000s that I really liked, like Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. I love that movie. It kind of like, I was like, oh yeah, I do like this type of story. I might not want it every month, but I might do one of these a year. I could see that happening. Yeah. So that's
interesting you said that. Romance is the genre I feel like I haven't given like a real go. Like I've read like classic romances, like Jane Austen slaps. I mean, like, some of these like more classic, but I haven't tried like even like the romantic-y stuff, which people buy so much at the bookstore. I feel like I need to try something. It is. We cannot keep Sarah J. Maas in the. So I run a used bookstore. For people who don't know, my wife and I run a used bookstore. People donate from the community. We organize, clean, resell, etc. Sarah J. Maas is, I think, of all authors, the one that goes the fastest. As soon as we get it in, I've literally had people like donate it to me, and then a person is in the room and be like, "Hey, can I like get that Wings of Sorrow and Fury or whatever it is, and like, yeah, immediately sell it. So there's something about it. I feel like I should try it. I just have never really felt drawn to it. But yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, I'm drawn to it because Mrs. Nuts loves it so much, and I feel like I would love to be able to talk to her about it. Plus, she's reading a lot of my favorite books, so I think it's only fair that I would read some of her favorites. Like I read Fourth Wing, of which I didn't really like, but that's not like her favorite. She like genuinely enjoys some of the Sarah J. Maas stuff. I feel like Fourth Wing for her was like, it was whatever. It was fine. That was kind of her take on it. So yeah, I guess to me, it's just like I would love to find new things to love, and there's nothing wrong with, expanding your horizons. Do you make a goal of reading variety?
Not like an official one. I usually generally don't like any like uh strong written rules of like, I don't know, I have to read this after this. I'm pretty like go with my gut, but I try purposefully to kind of like be excited about like mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And now that I'm back on BookTube, I mean, as you know, there's also like just other decisions of like part of the fun of being on BookTube is that like certain things, certain conversations will be more interesting to folks, and I like being part of those. So like if I was just reading for myself, I would stop reading Joe Abercrombie because I found out I don't really like Joe Abercrombie, but I like having these conversations about Joe Abercrombie. So I need to finish the Age of Madness trilogy. So like that kind of stuff also is obviously part of my reading schedule.
Well, I met Joe Abercrombie, so me and him are basically best friends now. So I'm very offended. Okay, he's a big fan of the channel. Joe, I'm sorry. I know you're watching at home. You know,
I'm sorry, Joe. I'm glad of your success. Thank you for helping keep our genre afloat with your great ability to sell books. I'm just not one of those that's loving it. Are you a big First Law fan? I mean, I know obviously you're close friends with Joe Abercrombie, but
Yeah.
you like First Law?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's probably the series I like the most that I talk about the least, actually.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it just it works. It works for me. My best friend read them. I loved watching him go through them. It's just pretty much every aspect of it resonates with me, to be honest. Not saying that I think it's perfect, but it's one of those things like, yeah, that makes sense. That's a Jimmy book, and it's it's something I like, but I never really feel like I have anything profound to say about it. Like I don't feel like I can wax poetically about First Law. It's just
Sounds
something.
like a First Law book to me.
Oh, how dare you, sir? How dare you? Okay. Murphy said, Andy, I don't know if you remember, but we did a video together on a Jane Austen book years ago.
Murphy, of course, it was Northanger Abbey, which was, I think, the only Austen at that time that I hadn't read. And I had an amazing time. Have you ever read Northanger Abbey, Jimmy?
I have not. I hear that Remains of the
It's
Day is very similar. Oh, no, I'm thinking Downton Abbey. Never mind.
Northanger Abbey is fun because it is Jane Austen doing kind of a play on the Gothic novel. And so obviously Austen is normally a little bit more dramatic or romantic or in with like family drama. But she tries to do a little like Jane Eyre-esque thing in the second half of that novel, which is really fun when they actually get to Northanger Abbey. The first half I was kind of hit and miss with. They're in Bath, and it's like to me not as good as some other Austen, but the ending's very fun. But yeah, Murphy, I remember it. That was delightful.
Is that where I should start with Austen then?
No, Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice, like Anna Karenina, is one of those classics that you read it and you're like, yeah, that's a classic. It's I think anyone can read Pride and Prejudice and love it.
Okay, well that is good. I think I just picked up the Barnes and Noble like classic Penguin. It has like a fancy cover. It looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I picked that up, I think, this year. Gavin says, "Oh, but Downton Abbey also slaps." I've heard that I would love it. Have you watched it?
I've watched the first 3 seasons. When a certain when a certain character no longer is as active in the show as he or they used to be, I was not as interested. I think that's a popular opinion in season 3.
Okay. So you're telling me there's a chance I could like it?
Yeah, I think it's really fun. I mean, in this, it's good soap opera tropes in British people in the right before World War One. It's fun. It's very fun.
Holly DNF Pride and Prejudice. So now I don't know what to think. And then Evie is telling me I should not listen to you at all about Jane Austen.
Evie's mad because I didn't like The Spear Cuts Through Water. That's my thesis, that Evie is just against me now because I did not like Simon Jimenez. Is that the name of that author?
Yes, Simon Jimenez. You did not like The Spear That Cuts Through Water. That is...
I did not. I DNF'd it. So to be fair though, I only read the introduction and like the first chapter. And it was less like I hated it and I just wasn't feeling it. I couldn't connect with it and I just wanted to move on to something else. So it's not something that I would like not return to if someone really wanted to, but didn't work for me.
Interesting. I've not read the book, but what I known about it, I would have assumed that you would have enjoyed it, which honestly, you are kind of hard to put a finger on. Like I would have assumed you would have really liked First Law, but you also didn't like Black Company, right?
Yeah, I thought Black Company was okay. I enjoyed some of the stuff that I saw reflected in like Malazan, so like the companionship amongst the soldiers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't click for me. I only read like the first like 4 books of like the larger series. It didn't fit for me. Are you a Black Company fan?
Yeah, I like it. I've read all the way up through Shadow Games, and I plan on continuing. That's a series I can kind of just jump back into whenever I'm in the mood for it, and I've enjoyed it a lot. It's not like my favorite series of all time, but there have been some moments that have been like, and there's a moment in Shadow Games that blew my mind. Like I was like, oh, okay, I actually am pretty in on this. Like I'm actually invested in this, which was surprising because it's not a series that I've blitzed through. But I would say yes. I think I would say I like Glenn Cook. I think he's pretty talented at what he tries to do, even if that's not like my favorite thing. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense.
Gavin said, Jimmy, if you respect yourself, you will love Downton Abbey. I do hate myself, but I do respect myself. So I guess there's a little bit of a balancing act there, possibly. Annette wants to know if you've liked the Anna Karenina movie with Keira Knightley.
Oh, it's a very interesting film. I think that's a Joe Wright directed film, if I remember correctly. Joe Wright is a little hit and miss for me, but I thought it was, let's say it, good in some ways, especially like making a 2-hour movie about like a 1,400-page book is very, very difficult. But they do a very interesting thing in that movie where they try to do a framing device where there is like a play going on and then you zoom into the play and then it turns into like an actual regular narrative film. And every once in a while they pull out, which the book doesn't do, but it's a very interesting idea. I don't know if it exactly works, but I think I gave it like 3.5 stars when I reviewed it. It's worth watching, especially if you like the book.
Maybe I'll just watch the movie then. I'm going to be that guy from now. I watched the movie. I think I got it. I watched Cloud Atlas. I don't need to read it. Dookie Shoe says, can't wait for a new Black Company. Yeah, a lot of people are excited the fact that he's writing again, and supposedly it's pretty good from what I understand.
I did not know that he was writing new stuff. That's news to me. How many Black Company books are there total?
So I think the main series, I want to say was 9, but I want to say there's like, I think it's 10 and then a trilogy. Someone in the chat, Alan knows for sure. So
yeah,
that'll.
Alan, stop thinking about Downton Abbey and help us crowdsource this answer, please.
Yes. What are you doing? Gosh, Alan, be useful for once. Andy, you own a bookstore, which is pretty cool. You also attended a live stream for Malazan discussion from your bookstore. Do you remember that?
That's true. Yes, I do. I do remember that. I'm a busy man.
You were very busy. I think it was me, you, and who was the third? Was it Alan?
Alan? Was it Philip Chase?
Maybe Joanna? All I know is we talked about capitalism a lot, and I get so many people who comment on that video and call us communist. It's so funny.
Well, welcome to my life. I own a bookstore, and my other job, by the way, is an elected representative. I get called communist all the time. So welcome to the party.
Yeah, well, a good thing to see your brand is extending itself to a collaboration we did 5 years ago.
My fingers are everywhere.
So what's it been like owning a bookstore, selling books? Does it make you feel different about reading at all? Like, do you get burnt out by seeing books? Like, do your shelves bring you joy when you walk by still?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, so Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't think it's affected my personal reading at all. And in fact, what it's mostly done is like expanded my collection because I get to see the donations before they go out. And so I just like snag stuff. Like over here, someone the other day gave a whole expanse, like the all 9 books, and I just snagged that for myself. So as far as bookshelves go, my bookshelves look much better since I started it. I think it's really fun because it reminds you how diverse reading experiences are.
Hmm.
There's so many different kinds of books, books that I would never read or be interested in. I don't even just mean like nonfiction stuff. I mean like there's fiction books that I see and I was like, I know that that is not something that I'd be interested in. But then I see a person buying it and excited about it, and it's a great reminder of that diversity of experience. I mean, just like any job, it does get tiring, and customer service is tough. We don't make hardly any money from it, so as far as like livelihood, it's not the best choice. But I think overall, it makes us, or I can just speak for myself. I won't speak for Anna, but like I think it continues to like encourage me in reading. And it's every once in a while, by the way, as a booktuber, you get like a super exciting thing where like I had a guy come the other day and was like, "Are you the guy who did the Malazan and postmodern video?" And I was like, yes. And it feels very weird that that happens. And I emailed her to tell this story. Murphy may or may not still be on. But the other day I was watching Murphy's review of Dust of Dreams, which was excellent in the shop. And I had my headphones on. And then someone came up to buy something and I was checking them out. She was like, "Wait a minute, is that Murphy Napier?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "I love Murphy." And I was like, "Me too." So it's like you also get those fun interactions in person, which is always great.
Yeah, I had I told the story last episode, but I had someone in new hire orientation, my new job, recognize me, and then somebody else on my team was like, "Oh, do you know Philip Chase?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I love Philip Chase." And I was like, "Cool." No, of course I was happy. It's kind of weird that outside of this bubble, I always forget people are listening. Like I forget that this goes out to thousands of people. It's very weird. But that is kind of
Mhm.
a cool thing whenever it happens. I want to shout out Sam, by the way, gave it 10 spots. Very kind of you. Said, hello, Jimmy and Andy, catching live, first live in a long time. I just noticed YouTube has stopped sending notifications of your lives to me. Yeah, the way live streams work, it's very finicky. Supposedly, someone actually just told me this. Apparently, YouTube is like pushing themselves more into live streaming, so maybe that will benefit us in some way here. I don't really know, but I'm not shocked that you didn't get the notification. I think it just doesn't know what to do with it a lot of times. But Sam, that was very kind of you, and also good to see you. I recognize your name, and I knew you hadn't been here in a while, so good to see you. Very, very good. Rid said communism is when Andy spreads the wealth of books from donation to his own shelves.
That's pretty good burn. That's pretty good.
And Murphy said it's very sweet of you to email her about that.
I'm a big Murphy fan. Isn't Murphy Napier great?
Big Murphy guy. I'm a big Murphy
Yeah.
guy.
I mean, aside from the fact that you did try to unalive her at one point, but I've never done that, and I'm a huge fan, and I'm so looking forward to her Crippled God review.
Yeah, but you've never met her. If you had met her, you might have tried.
No comment.
As an elected official, no comment.
Yeah, I have no comment at that time.
Andy wants to seize the means of production. Something like that. I think that's
Yeah, that's
somewhat
fine with me.
So with the bookstore, another thing I want to ask you, and you kind of answered this with the Sarah J. Maas thing, so I'll extend it past this. But is there any like trend or like something that happens a lot that you're kind of shocked by, whether it be book purchases or things getting traded in?
Yeah, I mean, so I already mentioned it, but I think broadly I will say that like romantasy or whatever, like
Hmm.
people like enjoy that, which I think is worth saying kind of in our space in our corner of booktube because there's a temptation to kind of scoff down at people for some reason for liking those particular books, but like it brings people a lot of joy. People really do like those books. And it's fun to talk with people about them, and that's definitely a trend like consistently. I'm sure that that is the highest. We don't like scan books individually, but I'm sure like Sarah J. Maas would be our like one of our highest.
Hmm.
um I mean, the other thing that immediately came to mind is also like this is kind of a boring answer, but like popular authors are popular. Like Stephen King sells very quickly. Like even someone like James Patterson, I'm like, there's so many. How do people buy the books all the time? The Jack Reacher
What?
books, people buy all the time. Like there's like I think when you're a reader and you just buy what you want and read it, it's tempting to start just like getting tunnel vision on your particular tastes. But like it's real. Like out there,
Mhm.
people are buying these things. They like popular books, and that's great.
There's also a lot of name association with people who aren't like super into whatever the hobby might be. This is outside of reading too, but like to some people, reading means Reacher, or it means
Mm.
what Tom Clancy, whatever it is. It's like
Yep.
when I read that thing or that author, and especially with someone
Yeah.
like Stephen King, who has been so prolific over so many years. So you know, if you only read one book every few years, you can live off Stephen King. It's
Yeah.
pretty easy to do. So it doesn't shock me that is the case. But James Patterson's a little shocking to me. I guess I just have such a negative view of James Patterson, like that I just assume everyone knows that he's not really writing all these books anymore. But you know what? Good on them. Good on
It's
them.
I think it's still like his fans are still around. I don't know how long that will be the case, but like they're still kind of going through it. The other actually from a fantasy perspective, here's some interesting things that I will say that you may or may not like. But I do think there's a downturn in interest in some classics of like the 2010s,
Mhm.
specifically Patrick Rothfuss and even George R. R. Martin. Like they used to be kind of big sellers. We just have more of them now. Part of that is that like there's so many books out there. They've
Yeah.
sold so many books, so they're coming in, but they don't come out as much as they used to. Same thing is true with Wheel of Time. We actually have a lot of Wheel of Times right now, and for a little while that wasn't the case. I think, and that's just natural taste. I think uh, moving and changing, but
Yeah.
that's
And
certainly something I've noticed.
I also think that when it, like, for instance, with like Game of Thrones, like once the adaptation is over, regardless of even how season 8 went, like it just that people are going to get out of that thing then. Like once it left the
Yeah.
zeitgeist, you know, that's not that shocking to me. I think Wheel of Time's an interesting one because I feel like I never see that at my used bookstores. Like I did a little bit during the pandemic whenever like I would go in and there was like 5 people allowed to go in at once. Like I would go in. It was then, but now
Yep.
I never really see that, which is weird because he's sold like what 90 million, 100 million books.
A lot. Yes.
Um, so I'm kind of shocked by that, but that doesn't surprise me that you're seeing them sit around a
Yeah.
long period of time. Rid has a great question. So, what's the weirdest thing you've seen left inside of a book that someone's traded in?
Hmm. That's not like necessarily weird, I guess. I think probably the answer to that, the first thing I thought of is like one one time there was just a very personal letter that someone had left in a thing. It wasn't like a sext or anything, but it was like
Oh,
it was like a pretty lovely letter that is like, why would you just leave this in a book? That's like a funny answer. I mean, like weirder things is actually a cat turd. One time we opened it up and there was just a piece of poop there. That book unfortunately got thrown away. Uh, so those are two opposite sides of the continuum of I don't know, love and shit.
was this lovely letter? Like, are we talking like James Joyce to his wife type letter, or just kind of like "I miss you"? Here's a great book.
It was like like a I think it was a wife to like a husband like updating him on some like like I've been here, it's very fun, I miss you. Like so like it wasn't like salacious or anything, but it was like it felt like I shouldn't be reading it. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't
But you
have
did.
my eyes on this. I did, yep. And then I recycled it.
I was going to ask you if you still had it. I was going to have you read it aloud.
No, no, no. I'm not that much of a monster. Just a little monster.
ZK and AK said, I asked, what is the rarest book that you've seen donated to your shop?
I don't if we get something that's like truly rare, we will tell people not to give it to us. So there's a store up in the Twin Cities. I live in Minnesota, and it's called Midway Books, and they do like rare book stuff. So if we ever get something that's like valuable, we actually like give it back to the people and say you should go give it to them. They'll actually like be able to make some money off of it. So I don't have a great answer to that because normally we try not to get those.
That's very kind of you. It's very, very good-hearted.
Yeah.
That is excellent. Beps did ask.
It's also a lot of work, to be clear. It's a lot of work to be a bookseller, and we do not want to do that amount of work.
And I respect that, to be honest.
Thank you.
I'm just glad you're still running it because, like, obviously, whenever last I talked to you, I was still pretty new, and I know things happen. So I think that was like the first thing I asked you when I saw you. I said,
"Yes, we're about to celebrate our 4-year anniversary. We opened it in October 2021, so we're about to make 4 years. We paid down all of our startup costs, which is amazing. So
awesome.
Yeah, we're doing really well.
It's awesome, man. I'm really happy for you guys. I think it's a great thing. And Beps asked the question that we always have to ask, which is, what are we currently reading? For me, I am currently reading the final architecture book, Two Eyes of the Void by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It's very good, like very, very good. What are you reading currently? Andy?
You're a big Tchaikovsky guy, right? I have not ever read. Oh, I thought you were bigger. Hit and miss.
I am. He's missed before, but when he hits, like Ogres is like absurd.
No, don't.
By the way,
your butthole.
Sorry about that. You would love Ogres, like for sure. It's also very short. It's a novella. So I've loved some stuff from him. I've also hated some stuff from him. So he's a bit of an up and down. I would definitely say favorable more than non-favorable. But
I am currently reading. Let's see. I'm reading two biographies of presidents. I'm trying to read biographies of every president, and right now I'm in the midst of one on Andrew Jackson and one I'm just about to finish, John Quincy Adams one. But fiction-wise, I am reading A Sail, which is the final novels of the Malazan Empire book by Ian Esselmont, which has been a real hit and miss series for me. So have you read novels of the Malazan Empire?
I read Knight of Knives, and I attempted Return of the Crimson Guard, and tapped out during Return of the Crimson Guard. And I don't think I will. I think I'll try Path to Ascendancy. I think that I will attempt those, and if I can have a good enough experience with those, then I'll go back to novels. But for me, I just I have a memory of what the main 10 were, and I don't really want that to be touched. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I
Makes
know
100%. Yeah.
Like, it continues this and it'll make you feel different about these characters, but it just wasn't working on the same level for me. And I just, there was some stuff in Return of the Crimson Guard that almost made the main 10 worse for me. And that is not something I'm interested in because I love the main 10 so much. And you're saying that your experience has been up and down.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I'm able to kind of like segment them in my head, but Esselmont especially, like, I want to say this because it's not really a diss, but I think he's really trying to find his voice, and he's trying to replicate in the novels of the Malazan Empire Erikson's voice. At least this is my read on it, and I just don't think he should. I think his own writing voice. And the books that are the best are when he kind of gets away from Erikson's storytelling device. Erikson excels in Malazan Book of the Fallen of telling a tale and of events from the perspective of like secondary characters, and sometimes many secondary characters, and you don't like get in the head of like Anomander Rake or even like a Whiskey Jack most of the time. And Esmont tries to do that, and I just don't think it works quite as effectively. When he gets into the heads of the main characters, the main like people who are driving the story, that's when I think Esselmont's at his best, which is why I'm excited to read Path to Ascendancy. I haven't read it either. And the best books in the novels are the ones where he does that. Stone Wielder, and actually the one I'm reading, A Sail, I think are the two best. But I would, might be Malazan heresy, but I would not ever tell someone like, you have to read these to really like, experience or know or whatever. I think they're distinct, and if you want a little more, you can do them, but they're optional.
Well, we'll be reading No Life Forsaken together in October, November? sometime.
I'm so excited. Are you getting an arc? I've
No.
been trying to get someone from Tor and they never message back to me. And I don't want to be that person who messages Steve about it, but I do want to read it as soon as possible. I'm so excited.
I am not a big arc guy. I've been given arcs a few times. It's very rare. Like I can count on one hand how many I've gotten. And I just, it's not because I don't, it's not like I want them and I don't get them. I just don't want them. I like release day hype. I get excited about like going to the store and being like, I don't know, maybe it's from like the old days when I was really young. And like, I remember when Prisoner of Azkaban came out, like, and it was such a big deal. Like maybe
I feel all of
that's
us
part
of that age remember Harry Potter launch parties and how awesome they were.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, there's something about that I kind of enjoy. And also when I get an arc, I just feel so much pressure. And if there's anything about this channel, it's like, I don't ever want to feel any pressure. I don't want
That's
any
fair.
kind of stress when it comes to the reading or doing obviously the YouTube channel. So I haven't not been reached out to for an arc or anything like that. And honestly, if I got one, I'd pass it your way. That's what I would do.
Yeah, if anyone does, be like, yeah, I'll take it. Also, have you heard of Andy Smith? He has 3,000 subs, so it's not worth you to mention. But also, please, you should send him a book. I'm so excited about that book. I think The God Is Not Willing is tremendous.
You're very high on it.
And very high. Speaking of Melass and Heresy, I said if people have trouble with the main 10, they should just read The God Is Not Willing. People were upset at my opinion on that, but I think that's very doable.
There's something about you, you are opinionated. Like you have your own opinions.
You've got a way about you.
That's where I was going with this, actually.
It's getting very romantic.
Yeah, there has been that vibe this whole time. I could kind of.
I think so. I think people like it. I think the people like it. We're now in triple digits.
Triple digit Jimmy is what they call me. Unfortunately, at the golf course. That was a great golf joke. That was such a good golf joke.
It's really good. Hey, Dad. Great joke.
Thanks.
Really
man.
good.
Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Oh wait, no, the other side. It's mirrored. There we go.
Wait. Here.
There we go.
Can't believe I've never done that. In all of these episodes, over 5 years, 6 years, whatever, I've never done
Now
that.
at the 99th hour, you are figuring out you can virtually high five your guests. You just needed someone as dweeby as me to match your energy.
Well, we have dweebs.
I'm here
I mean,
for you.
I had Jared Henderson on. Let's not kid ourselves here. Rid said the local bookstore sold me Wind and Truth a day early. Bit of a big deal myself. I actually got it from Target because my local bookstore wouldn't sell it to me early. I offered them a handsome amount of money, and they were like, "We can't." And I was like, "Well, fine." And I went to Target, and they were like, "Yeah, bro, we got them in the back." And they just gave it to me.
Oh, my story of buying Wind and Truth is I didn't because I hate that series. Speaking of strong thoughts.
Yeah, you were the
Stormlight
Oathbringer
Archive.
hater. Now, Andy, you did like the first two, right?
I said they were, and this is a quote on my thumbnail: "Good, not great."
That's fine.
I should also say I'm not a complete Sanderson. Don't like Sanderson. I think Mistborn's really, really good. I really enjoy Mistborn. Warbreaker, I really liked. Anyway, so I can do Sanderson. I think what really got me is he tries to be very critical of power structures, and I'm just using broadest possible terms so there's no spoilers or whatever. And I just think Sanderson does not do a good job, is not careful, and on top of that, I feel like he redoes a lot of character growth, especially in the third one. That's why I really didn't like Oathbringer. Thank you, William.
William said a baller correct take from Andy.
When everyone was like Wind and Truth, I think mostly was a disappointment for most people. I felt a little vindication. Although also I feel kind of bad saying that because I don't want to be a troll. I do want you guys to enjoy it. So, I'm conflicted, but Stormlight is not for me. That's not my series.
It's not your bag. You're going to stick with Jane Austen. Riveting stuff, Andy. Riveting.
Yeah. Austen slaps. You meant that as a burn, but I wear it as a crown of glory.
Yeah, well, you try to explain to me the magic system in Pride and Prejudice. How about that, tough guy? Huh?
Okay. Mr. Darcy makes 20,000 pounds a year and has Pemberley and can dance very well. If that's not magic, I don't know what is. You have bewitched me, heart and soul. Oh, it's great.
It was very, very middle class of you, Andy. I saw someone say that earlier. I don't know if that's Downton Abbey or if it's Jane Austen, but I just went with that.
That has to be Downton Abbey. Although they didn't have the middle class during Downton Abbey. That's an anachronism. But
hey, we don't have it anymore here either.
Oh.
Fix it, Andy. Fix it.
I'm trying.
Who's your favorite American president, by the way? We mentioned presidents. I have a thing for presidents. Who is your favorite American president?
Hands down, FDR. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is incredible. But can I tell you an awesome Andrew Jackson story? I'm sure that's why people are watching Chatting with Nuts.
Yes, please.
I'm going to tell you anyway. So he killed a guy in a duel one time. Not great. But he did it in, unfortunately, the coolest way possible. Because overall, Andrew Jackson, not a great person. Say that very clearly. But someone had insulted him, and then in their fight, he had insulted Andrew Jackson's wife. And so he calls a duel. They go 20 paces from each other. And, you know, normally in duels at that time, they would fire at the sky. But they both looked at each other, and then the other guy fired at Jackson and hit him in the breastplate, broke 2 of his ribs, and the bullet lodged in his rib cage for the rest of his life. When he died in the autopsy, they found, well, not an autopsy, but they found the bullet still lodged in his rib cage. He goes down, and then he gets back up and brings up his musket and then takes aim and fires. The hammer misfires, so it doesn't fire at all. It clicks. So he takes it back again, aims, and then the other guy runs away. And then everyone's like, whoa, 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 you can't run away. So the guy eventually comes back. Jackson is bleeding this whole time. Looks at him, shoots him in one shot. Wow. Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Let's be fair.
Pretty
like
cool.
if you're gonna shoot someone, like that's I feel like I should not say that on a live stream.
Now you're really gonna get demonetized. But no, it's just like Andrew Jackson, man, life in the frontier. So I read that story, and I've been telling that story a lot recently. I don't know. It's a good cocktail story.
It's a good story. Alan gave me I think it was Benjamin Franklin, The American Sphinx, or am I thinking of?
There's Thomas Jefferson, The American Sphinx.
That's it.
By, I think, Jeffrey Ellis.
Yes, that's the book.
Jeffrey Ellis?
Yeah, that's the book that he actually gifted me, because I just go on these sprees where all I want to do is just learn about like the first 20 presidents and just go through whatever history I can. I don't know what that is. I think maybe I'm just getting old. But yeah, I think that might be unfortunately what is happening.
I'm trying to read one biography of every American president during the second term of our current president, because history helps both encourage and give context to things that are happening. So I'm now through 7, and once I finish Andrew Jackson, and we'll keep going. But I love history.
Yeah, if you catch me,
Jefferson's interesting.
Yeah, Jefferson is very interesting. If you catch me with a nonfiction book, it's most likely about a president, almost guaranteed.
Who's your favorite president? I gave you my answer. You didn't give me yours.
It's probably FDR, but if not FDR, it's probably Abe Lincoln. I just
good too.
Yeah, he also was a professional wrestler. Fun fact. People didn't know that.
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln was a professional wrestler.
Is that? I don't know if you're messing.
I'm
with
being
me
serious.
Or not.
No, I'm being serious.
I almost said an F-bomb. Am I allowed to curse? I don't know if I curse on this.
I don't care.
Was he really? I'm super interested now. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, he's the only president that can boast that, which is pretty cool. But FDR is definitely, if I couldn't pick FDR, it'd probably be Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. There's a series I wanted to talk to you about. We were talking about Sanderson. You're not a huge fan of Stormlight or whatever. There's a series that you put on my radar. You just popped out of nowhere, like you hadn't posted in a year, I think, and you just came in and you were like,
I know what this is. I'm excited.
Mage's Blood by David Hare. And I remember coming on Chatting with Nuts like the next day, and I was like, I'm pumped about this. I read the first page of it. The writing seemed good. Andy really liked it. And Alan goes, nah, everybody hates book 2. That's what he said.
What?
Yeah.
Has Alan read it?
Oh no, I don't think he has. But he's like, everyone I've seen read that book hates book 2.
That means Alan saw comment one time and he was like, "That's the accepted wisdom." No, that is bullshit. Now that I know I can swear, the Moontide Quartet is the most underrated fantasy series on BookTube. It is, especially actually, if you like Stormlight Archive, in my opinion, David Hare does a much better job with a lot of the similar themes, including like very interesting magical systems and different like huge elemental magics, while also I think having a much more grounded cultural critique and like clash of cultures. I think it's so good. If people don't know, can I tell people about it? I'm going to tell people
no,
about
please,
it.
No, please do, because I said I was going to start it this year, and I still actually am. I still believe I will. So
You should totally. So what Alan's talking about is the first book is like ends in this explosive, very surprising thing, and then the second book takes a long time to get back to that thing, but it's worth it. It's kind of like what's a good example? It's like in the second Wheel of Time book, like Rand disappears for a large period of it, and people are like, "Wait, what?" This kind of does the same thing.
okay.
Anyway, the idea of the Moontide Quartet is there is two kind of main continents in this world, and the seas in this world are just tremendously tumultuous. There's no mercantile commerce because the tides truly are so dangerous that it is uncrossable. But I believe it's 9 years. Is it 12 years or 9 years? One of the two. There's what's called a moon tide, where the moon, for whatever reason, is further away. That's how they describe it. And so the seas fall for a season. And there's this giant land bridge that connects these two continents just for, I think it's like 3 months. It's a very short amount of time. But this land bridge was actually made by this mythical mage like 60 years ago. So it's very, very new. There's only been like 3 moon tides at the point that this book comes out. So I guess like 40 years ago, whatever that is. And the mages had built it to try to like bring peace between, or like commerce between like these two nations, because there's two big empires. But what happened is that the more powerful religious culture started a crusade against the other culture, and each time this crusade has gotten worse and worse and worse. And after the third crusade, there's actually like it's like a Western versus Eastern kind of idea. It has created like a beachhead, like they have a kingdom there, but they have no contact for 12 years. So the beginning of the first book is like the Moontide Bridge is opened, and the idea is there going to be another crusade, or has this place still survived, or is this other nation united? And there's a lot more stuff that I could tell that I won't, but it is so good, and it's multi-perspectival across all aspects of the tension. There's some dark stuff to it, but it's not like Malazan or even First Law. I would say it's closer to like a Stormlight as far as like tone and darkness. Moontide Quartet is so good. I read all 4. I was blown away by it. I have no idea why more people haven't read it.
Well, hopefully I can get some people on the train along with you, because I think it was the first either page or chapter, and I was like, this is very interesting. And I love the idea of like 2 places being separated for a period of time. Like, could you imagine if you could only go to the town next to you every 10 years? It'd be, one, the anticipation would be insane, but also the changes that happen in that time could be massive. So I think that just in premise alone, it's pretty interesting. And Daniel Clauser said there's a sequel series to Moontide called Sun Surge. So
I know of it. I haven't read it, but I will say I think this is like a tribute to Moontide. When it ends, I was both very satisfied with the ending, but also very exhausted. Like I felt like I had really like finished a series, which that's a great feeling. I think fantasy readers especially love that. Like that's when I get to the end of Malazan, you get to the end of Wheel Time, it's like And I like haven't been able to like jump back into Sun Surge. Is it Sun Surge? Is that what he said it is?
I think we're still figuring that part out, but there's sequels.
Yeah, but there are sequels, and I think I will definitely do it at some point.
Very cool. Beltube, thank you so much for the 4-spot People Magazine on me for in-flight entertainment. I appreciate that, Beltube. That is keeping the bit going. Beltube's always good for a bit. Always. Beltube, interesting thing. Read Lit RPG like 13 years ago. Like, it's a huge thing now. That dude's been reading for like a decade. Isn't that crazy?
That's impressive.
It is.
Yeah, that is like this year's blown up.
Yeah, and he's over there like, I've been telling y'all. I've been saying this for years. It's going to be like you and Moontide Quartet when I blow it up and I pretend like I found it.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, truly, you take credit for it as long as people read it. Like, I am so shocked that it is not more widely read. Like, it's probably in my top, maybe not my top 10, but I bet you it might make 20. It's really good. I found it incredibly satisfying.
And it's finished, which is nice. Evie said, did y'all answer Bep's question about what you all currently reading? I did. I don't think Andy did.
I did. I'm reading 2 presidential biographies, and then I'm reading A Sail, the final novels of the Last Empire. Thanks for listening, Jimmy.
Well, you know, there's presidential facts. I was accused of attempted homicide. We high-fived at one point. That was pretty sick.
This has been a very eventful night for you. Okay, I have a question for you about a series.
Okay.
Why do you hate the Chronicles of Narnia?
Bro, where do I begin?
For people who don't know, Rid and I are reading through Chronicles of Narnia, and I contacted some of my friends. I was like, hey, you know, you don't have to read it, but like, would you like to come on and talk about these, assuming people have read it? And Jimmy just messaged me back, not interested.
That's not true.
Why would I read such trash? I think is his exact quote.
I think my actual answer was...
And then, no, I'm not done yet. And then last week with Rid was on, you bullied her for reading Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
I did.
And Rid was very nice. And Rid was like, ha, 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 ha. I'm here to fight. Tell me why you hate C.S. Lewis. One of the top 10 selling fantasy pieces of IP of all time.
Listen. Okay. First off, the message I responded with was, I have absolutely no interest in reading that. I said, but I missed you. We should chat soon. We should do any other read along other than that. Thank you, Rid. Rid said we were allowed to say no.
Rid, come on.
Yes. Listen. If I wanted to read Christian allegory, I would just go back to Thessalonians. I would just go back to reading Proverbs, Andy. I already know the story, bro. You're not fooling me. You're not getting me to come to Sunday school. It ain't happening.
Okay. So this is a comment. I understand as someone who came out of Christianity not wanting it, but I just think C.S. Lewis is such a beautiful narrator. I still think it's quite fascinating, and you'll see as you watch my videos, and you'll start to get jealous that you weren't a part of this, how interesting the discussions can be, and what we can learn from Narnia. Yeah.
There's lions. I hear that. There's a wardrobe.
Good.
So,
yep. And a witch. I don't know if you know that's the name of the book. So you got 2 or 3.
Are there wardrobe malfunctions?
Have you read Narnia?
No. Why would I read Narnia?
You've never read them?
No, it sucks.
You haven't read them. You don't know. Oh, it's like I'm talking to Alan all of a sudden.
How dare you? If first off, it's a male author, Alan would give him the benefit of the doubt.
He's exploding. Somewhere in Florida, Alan is just exploding.
Christina, he's calling me misogynist again. I can hear it.
That was good. That was a good interpretation. That was a good thing.
I've spent some time with him. Yeah.
They're very good. They're great tales. You should get past your bias and give them a try sometime. But you don't have to.
I mean, Fernando said, Tolkien employs a lot of Christian symbols, and that's why Lord of the Rings sucks too. I'm kidding. I love Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. Isn't Narnia for children, Andy?
It is children literature for sure. And very purposefully so. I actually think I enjoy, speaking of, let's fast forward or rewind an hour where we talked about how we should diversify our reading and how it's fun to see different types of
No, here we go.
like authorship, right? And experience it in different ways. I actually do think his voice, if you're actually okay, I'm gonna put aside this feud I have with you for a second.
Okay.
Like as far as like actual reading and voice, C.S. Lewis is really, really interesting because he tells this from like an oral traditional perspective, meaning that like the narrator takes an active part. So reading it, he purposefully is doing it to children, which is true, but he tells a fantastical tale while also giving kind of sign points to ways that children can understand. I go through this. My review is gonna drop on Sunday, and I think that's really interesting. And I do think from a critical perspective, because I'm more now critical of Christianity, I think it's also interesting that like one of the most powerful forces in modern American society is evangelical Christianity, and like C.S. Lewis like is like evangelical Christianity. So I think reading these books with that in mind is a very interesting process. And one particular way that I find very interesting is like, as you rightly put out, there's a lion, Aslan, who is like a Christ figure, and all of the children, our main characters, are very passive. They don't really do anything to save Narnia. They just kind of like follow Aslan, and Aslan does all the stuff. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the book, Aslan goes away, and they're supposed to be like great kings and queens of Narnia for like 20 years. But we don't see any of that in the book. And I think it's a really interesting reflection on what modern day Christianity in the West, at least in my experience, has been, where it is so focused on Jesus that people forget how important it is to live good lives and be people who actually live out some of these high ideals in society. And that's why you should read Narnia. There you go. There's my pitch.
Okay, and by the way, Jordan Levitt, UFC star, by the way, we're good friends. Narnia books must be read aloud. I have heard the writing's great.
His word economy is incredible. Like, so the scene where Lucy finds the wardrobe and then goes into Narnia, right?
Spoilers.
Like, famous scene. Everyone knows about it. That's a page and a half, but it's just so vivid that it just like, immediately captures your attention. It's great.
Okay.
We don't have to talk about Narnia. I just needed to defend my read-along for a little bit.
Listen, I did kind of bury your read-along. I did kind of do that. All right. And I'll say this. You have me somewhat interested. You got me somewhat interested.
And this is the most Christian allegory one. After this, they get much more sort of broadly Hansel and Gretel. Like fun, creative, like still like moral tales, but more creative and odd.
So how many books are there in Narnia total?
I think seven.
Seven?
These are, look at these. Let's see. This is like 180 pages. You could read this like as you're falling asleep.
I promise it'll make me go to sleep. I promise.
It's so easy. Actually, I did read it before bed, and it is kind of a nice story time before bed. It's super simple.
So you've already read book one. So if someone were to join the read along, let's say they were trying to catch up, possibly, like how fast would they have to read the first two if they were going to do something like that?
Well, so we are reading one a month, and these are like super tiny children's literature. Like, so our first live show is tomorrow, and then our next live show is the last Saturday in October. And the next one's Prince Caspian. So you just got to jump. And also most of these are pretty self-contained. Like you can just pick up, especially if like the Christian allegory part of it is really going to get at you. I find that interesting, sort of in a reflective of like what this guy thinks and what certain people think. But if that does get at you, like you can skip Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, no problem. And, go to the next one and you'll get just as much. It's very different.
I think I can handle the allegory. I think I can handle it.
I don't know. You seem pretty scared before, but they're really easy to read. I mean, I read one. You read a chapter in like 5 minutes before bed. So okay. I did not stop any of my other reading to read the Chronicles of Narnia.
That's not a good way to pitch it. I'll read along. Yeah, this book could not distract me from any of my other reads. That's not a good.
Well, no, because I feel like when I'm thinking of a read along, one of the main things I think of, like, the opportunity cost of my other reading. Like, if I get involved in a Dagger and Coin read along, that means
As you
I'm not going
should.
to be reading my R. Scott Bakker books that I'm going to be reading soon. So, like, you always got to take that into account. I don't think there's an opportunity cost in here. You just like, this is like, you're in bed and be like, oh yeah, I should read one chapter of C.S. Lewis. Oh, that's a nice story. Then you go to sleep.
Rid said, read it
And
tonight and join the live show tomorrow at noon, Jimmy. You won't. You are right. I will not do that.
I I dare you.
I got a tea time tomorrow at noon. I can't miss that. I'm sorry. I just can't. I I I am interested. I'm at least interested. And to be honest, it is like one of the biggest gaps. I have plenty of gaps, but it's like one of the biggest gaps as far as like the fantasy canon, if you will. Like, I think if someone created a fantasy canon, I mean, do you think Narnia would be in that? I think so.
I think it'd have to be. I mean, it's sold like over 300 million copies. It really is like in the top like 20 all time for like just basic sells. And I think it is something that gets people into the genre, which is a big deal, right? Like,
Mhm.
um, it's actually, you know what is probably the closest analog to um Chronicles of Narnia, although this is less for kids, but kind of like one grade up. But Earthsea, like Tales of
Oh, I
Earthsea,
love Ursi.
the way those are told are similar. Earthsea is a little bit less for kids and more sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, maybe not middle grade, but it's like, but it's more like fantastical. Uh, and Chronicles of Narnia is like that, but for slightly younger children.
Hmm. Okay, I mean, I got something out of Wizard of Earthsea. I mean, the Taoism stuff really interested me, and I enjoyed how those books kind of grew up as they went along. I think Tahanu is just incredible. I've went at length, talked about at length about Tahanu. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing me talk about it, but um, Doug said, "You can't handle the allegory, son. We live in a world that has wardrobes."
That's very good.
Also, Rid said Le Guin's prose clears. So your own read along participant is.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. But I think also Lewis is purposefully right, like not his prose are for children.
Solid point. And we happen to not be children anymore.
I don't know. We did high five earlier.
I'm never gonna get
That was
tired
much
of
that was much smoother than last
It
time. That was
was.
pretty good.
It was.
I
pretty
felt
good.
cool doing it. I'm sure people thought we were very cool as we were
Oh,
doing it.
yeah, we're aura farming for sure.
I have another serious question for you, unless you want to keep talking about
No,
Chronicles of Narnia.
please.
Because I think you've read more Daniel Abraham, or is it Abraham?
Abraham.
Abraham than I have. I have never. The only stuff I've read is Expanse, but I've wanted to pick up one of his fantasy stuff. Are you more Dagger and Coin or the Seasons one? I forget what
The
that was
Long
called.
Price Quartet. I
There we go.
am more into Dagger and the Coin.
Okay.
I think they're both excellent. I think that both of them have a pretty slow start. I found Long Price Quartet a little harder to slide into because he's doing some like weird magic stuff that's not like super explained, which I like. But it took me a while to kind of slide into it. There's also a lot of posing, like they pose to express themselves, and I think some people are hit or miss with that. But the Dagger and the Coin, I just think is just fabulous, and it has like one of my favorite antagonists of all time.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you would like both. I wonder which one you would like more. You're really hard to pin down. So it would maybe be exact opposite of what I ended up saying or what I end up saying, but I could see you really liking the Dagger and the Coin.
Yeah, I'm the pitch of that of being like there's no action, it's all about the sort of politics and structure behind everything is like a great pitch for me. I'd be very excited about that. And I thought actually as a politician who reads fantasy and sci-fi, some of the best actual like politics in a book I've seen that's closest to our world is in The Expanse.
Hmm.
And how that is formulated. So I'd be interested to see that in another work.
Yeah, I think that Dagger and the Coin definitely goes into the politics of things, especially whenever you have someone at the helm that you feel could do anything at any time, I guess. And then there's like the power of the printing press, which is kind of slid in there too. There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Ooh.
I think Long Price Quartet is a much more like personal story. maybe a little more literary, as they say. I think that it's more so about friendship and how friendship changes and can be a negative thing over time, and all of the in between of that. So they're very much Abraham series in the sense that most people are going to find them boring, but they focus on different things, I think.
All right, that's helpful.
I would.
Yeah. Okay, so I told you my hottest sort of fantasy genre take, which I think is Stormlight Archive, is not a very good series. What's Jimmy's hottest fantasy genre take?
Well, apparently it's thinking Narnia is not worth the time, because I I was getting roasted in the chat here. My God. Jeez, oh,
Deservedly so.
Hey, listen, also, what a lukewarm take about Stormlight. Not like now it is, you're in style.
Are you kidding me? That is like the highest selling book of the last 20 years in fantasy. People love Stormlight Archive. Yes, when in truth, everyone's like, no, it's fine. But like before, are you kidding me? Voice crying in the wilderness. That's what I was. And everyone just like talking to me about how cool Kaladin is. Whoa, another found family that he's gonna fail. Whoa.
You're very good at condescension. You got the right amount of smugness. Like there's just the perfect amount.
I try not to, but Brandon Sanderson brings it out of me. I don't know. Stormlight Archive, something about that.
Is it because he's Mormon?
But yeah, that's it. That's the reason.
Okay. Your Mormon your Mormon voters are going to be very upset with you.
I don't think there's many of them. I don't know if you see my platform, but not super connected.
Hottest take. I'll tell you what. This might be somewhat of a hot take. At least I always feel this way, is that like I really appreciated a lot of what Red Rising did, but I never felt much by the end of it. Like I kind of felt exhausted. And I wouldn't say I disliked it by any means, but as like it's been many years now since I've read them, and I don't know. It doesn't move me. And I know you read Red Rising probably within the last year.
Yeah, this year.
I was going to ask you about this because the sequels are what all of the people around me, like in my Discord and stuff, they all love Red Rising. Like Red Rising could be like top 2 most beloved series in my community, I think. And I am always told that the sequels are going to be what I latch on to. So are you going to read the sequels?
In answer, there it is. I think I am. So similarly, I really enjoyed Red Rising. The word I always use talking about Red Rising was propulsive. It is just like you're shot out of a cannon and it's go, 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 go. And it's hard to not start the next chapter. It is a great page turner. But I think similar to you, at the end of the read, I sort of felt like that was really enjoyable. I had a great time, feel a little empty. And I mean, like, clearly it's supposed to be like a very heavy analogy for classism. And, the ghettoization of societies in this like very, very broad strokes, color system and a caste system. And there's a lot that could be done there. And I felt like the plot was so strong and quick and propulsive that like you weren't able to really have that theme hit home. I similarly have had people who are like, you gotta read the next ones are like third person, multi-perspective. It's not just a first person of Darrow. Like you gotta so I think I will. If you're looking for a partner, I'd be interested because I for a while, like since I finished, I would kind of have it on the back burner. I just have not felt the need to pick it up, but I think I will eventually.
Yeah, it's been one of those series, and I believe that I will enjoy them, like baseline enjoy them for sure. But
yeah,
there is a desire for it to become something like great to me, just because I feel like there's fewer and fewer of those kind of series around as I read more and more. And I have been kind of just like letting it sit there for a rainy day. Just kind of whenever I'm at my lowest point, I can just like boop, pop it off. And like I said, it's going to be entertaining at the very least. So
yeah,
I think that's what I've been kind of waiting for. I'm pretty sure most people are saying that the final book's coming out next year, so I am definitely interested in being caught up by the time the final book comes out, because it'd be fun to be a part of the hype train for that. But I've also heard that Pierce Brown might write a fantasy series after this, which I would be very keen to read.
Yeah. I'd be very interested in that. Yeah, and is this new series a trilogy, or is that like a fourth in this? I don't know exactly what the new one is going to be.
So I'm speaking out of turn because I can't remember for certain, but I believe it was meant to be a trilogy, and now it is 4 books. The final book's Red God, which is, by the way, a pretty sweet name. He names things well. I said that about the trilogy. I thought all of his names were solid. Had a lot of, like, I could definitely understand how people kind of get into, like, there's the Howlers and this and that. Like, there's things you can kind of attach yourself to in the series, similar to something like, Harry Potter or whatever. But I think it was supposed to be 3 books. Now it's 4, of course. That's how all fantasy trilogies go now. But I think Red God is like the conclusion. I don't know if it's like his final Red Rising book ever, but I had heard that he was thinking about doing something different next time. So
I would like him to. I don't like I think there's a trend of like, once authors get something that hits, they just stay in that same world kind of for forever and just keep writing in them. Sometimes it really, Realm of the Elderlings works really well. But even within that, I think Robin Hobb really switched it up quite a bit. So it'd be cool to see Pierce Brown just like do something else, new series, see what goes.
Yeah, and also he's a guy that clearly like thinks on his plotting, and I think that is something that I wish fantasy surprised me more, I guess, is the way I would put it. And I don't mean crazy deaths even, but just surprise me. Just give me something a little bit different. And I don't know why, but I feel like Pierce Brown could be that guy. Ishan wants to know when you're reading the Deluge.
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
so
it's fantastic.
Time. Let me Google.
It's written by Stephen Markley, and it is a climate fiction, almost current apocalyptic political novel. And it is, in my opinion, the best book I've read this year, and without a doubt, the top 10 favorite books of all time. It's incredible.
Wow.
It is so good.
This is very well reviewed.
Yeah, no one's really read it. It's only been a couple people, but the people who have read it and like it a lot. It is massive, though, and I try not to recommend people 1,200-page books, but if there was ever one you should read, it would be The Deluge. It's absurd. It's so good, dude. It's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah,
it's on my TBR. Although big books, you just could be in the right headspace. But if you're in the right headspace, you are.
Yeah. And I get it, dude, because I've been kind of swearing off large books, and even these Tchaikovsky books, they're like 450, 500 pages. And I'm just like, I wish this wasn't this long, to be honest with you. And I will say there's plenty of books that earn their page count, but even in this second book, and I'm enjoying it a lot, actually. I think this series is sick, but he's doing a lot of reminding you. And I'm just like, man, we could have cut at least like 50 pages here if we would have just not reminded me of something you just mentioned 5 chapters ago. Now it's in a different POV and whatever. And that is a kind of a dense series because there's just so many like capital letter words to keep track of.
Yep.
But he's just a little bit repetitive. And I see that a lot with these bigger page counts. I mean, Wheel of Time being the most guilty probably. And Sanderson. I think those two are pretty guilty of that. You know who writes short books that always feel a little bit longer than they should? Is Terry Pratchett.
Do you feel this way? I'm there with you.
Okay.
I have struggled. This year kind of Discworld was something I wanted to sprinkle in more. I struggled with it. So I started with the Death books, and I really liked Mort, the first one, and then the second 2 were like okay, but both of them I was like, this could be like 200 pages, and these are like 350. So yeah, I haven't gotten to the City Watch books, which a lot of people tell me I'll really like. I think I am going to get there eventually, but yeah, it's never quite hit me as well as I thought it would.
I love a lot of what Pratchett does, and I just read Small Gods, which I'll talk about my wrap up on Tuesday. Like I loved it. It's probably like premise wise, like my favorite thing. Like I was like, ooh, Pratchett tackling religion. Like this could be very interesting. But I don't know if it's just feeling like slightly fatigued by the witticisms or whatever. But I always just feel like the books are like 300 pages, and I always feel like they're like 400 pages. But I like them. I like them. And whenever I'm in the mood.
How much Discworld have you read, like overall?
So I've read Mort, Reaper Man, which I like both those a lot. I read Guards, and now I've read Small Gods. So I've read 4.
Okay.
And I liked all of them. Like I would not say any of them were a dud at all. There's stuff that I absolutely love about them. And I think, and I was going to say it's Tuesday as well, but like I think Small Gods is my favorite of them. Even though I think I like the story of Guards the most out of all of it, because it's a fantasy story. It feels like it's in conversation with The Hobbit a little bit, which is kind of fun.
That is fun.
And I did like Mort and Reaper Man just fine. Like they were good. They were solid books. They were entertaining. His writing's just really good. I think he's a brilliant writer.
It is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to continue to read, and I've bought more from it. I have Men at Arms, which is the sequel to Guards. That's probably the series, like the sub-series I'm most interested in. But I'm also interested in Nation, which is a non-Discworld book. I've heard it's really good.
Nation?
Yeah, it's like non-Discworld Terry Pratchett, and I've heard it's excellent. Oh, look at this. K Fox just said Nation is Pratchett handling the themes of Small Gods as a more experienced and skilled writer, in my humble opinion. So, I mean, that's a huge selling point.
That's a great selling point.
Yes. And also, T. Baggins wants to know, what's Andy's sub 300-page banger he'd recommend? And don't say the Chronicles of Narnia.
No, I wouldn't say they're bangers. Sub 300. Like if I'm just like overall books, for me, Slaughterhouse-Five, Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, okay.
Is a great book, and it is both playing with form and story and unreliable narrators and time, but with this very powerful framing device, and it is hilarious. Speaking of like funny, witty writing, Kurt Vonnegut is so funny. Slaughterhouse-Five, I think, like especially if you like are someone who liked like a 1984 George Orwell, or like kind of like those post-apocalyptic stuff. I think for some reason Slaughterhouse-Five is not always kind of included in that. It's not post-apocalyptic, but it deals with a lot of the themes of sort of overreaching governments, and it's also hilarious. It's really good. Slaughterhouse-Five, I think, would be my instinctual answer.
Yeah, I picked that up after reading Breakfast of Champions by him. I like that book. There's some stuff I didn't necessarily like that I don't think aged quite well with it, but I did find some of the parts laugh out loud funny. And then I read some of his short stories, which were really cool sci-fi. Not like aliens in space necessarily, but like, George Orwell type things. I've never heard anyone mention that with 1984 Slaughterhouse-Five, and that's interesting because like this whole year has been like apocalyptic fiction for me. Like I would say the majority of the stuff I've read recently has been, and now you've piqued my interest quite a bit with that.
So you have not read Slaughterhouse-Five, just Breakfast? Okay,
no, I picked
Slaughterhouse-Five, really good. If you're into that, if you're in like that lane, I think that's definitely where you go. And I don't know if I've read other Kurt Vonnegut, which is weird. Something I liked that much, but I just haven't. Yeah, it's really good.
Someone here, Jordan, said that sub 300-page banger, The Six Deaths of the Saint. And I'm looking at this, and this is part of a series by Alex E. Haro, which I've actually bought the first book of this series, I think. Or maybe I have. I think I have something by this author, but can I read this without reading the other ones, Jordan Drew? Because it kind of sounds interesting. Oh, I love that cover.
Isn't that great? I love the kind of classic, weird 70s, 80s covers.
Yeah, all of his stuff now has like a very uniform style, almost like Ishiguro has a uniform style for all of his stuff. And I think I like it.
This is like the new thing I think that a lot of them look like, right?
Mine is yellow or red. I think it's red with a yellow skull on the front. And then Breakfast for Champions is like orange and green. They're like very colorful.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. It is quite a psychedelic tale.
Yeah. Breakfast for Champions, I think you would enjoy, but I have a feeling that you would probably agree with me that some of it's really hard to get through.
Yeah. That also, Kurt Vonnegut is a very transgressive writer, so I imagine that, like many transgressive writers, there are times where it is too transgressive and wrong spirited.
Yeah, and also he's kind of an interesting guy if you read about him. He's like many authors from that time, batshit crazy. So, Fernando said Pedro Paroma is a great sub 300-page book if you want to read magical realist mystery with great prose. That sounds fabulous, Fernando. I will try to remember that so I can pick it up after. And then Dylan said Slaughterhouse-Five is probably my favorite book. Very nice.
Way to go, Dylan.
I've heard of this before. Daniel said The Builders by Daniel Polanski is 250 pages. Grimdark Redwall.
Ooh.
Okay.
It's a good sell. Is it at sort of like more teen level stuff, or is it?
I want to know that. It's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds great either way. I would just be curious to know. I'm just looking at my shelves, so I want to find more sub 300 bangers.
Grimdark Redwall is insane. Jordan said that the Alex E. Harrow book is it's a part of a collection. It's not a series. So I could read that. Good to know. Good to know. Well, Andy, it's
sorry, Pet Cemetery. Depending on which edition you get, that could probably be close to 300. So good. That's still my favorite King.
Yeah. Probably.
It was my first King. It's still my favorite.
Pet Cemetery or 11/22/63 is probably my favorite. Pet Cemetery is a phenomenal audiobook. Michael C. Hall from Dexter does it, and he does such a beautiful job. I mean, it is unbelievable. Daniel said, I've probably heard of the Grimdark Redwall because he's pressured me to read it before. It was reminiscent of Abercrombie. Oh, well, Andy's out. That's unfortunate.
So it's like hollow in theme, and
how dare you, sir?
Character growth isn't really a thing. And
how dare you? Listen,
they're anti-heroes, and they all have their little ticks to make them likable, but they're
Andy. Character growth is such a complex thing, right? Like, for instance, let me ask you a question. Let me propose a question. Can someone have made the same mistake twice and be a completely different person during both of those decisions?
Sure. Yeah.
See, I think that's kind of compelling. I think that's a interesting.
It could be compelling.
Oh my God. Go read about lions, okay? Oh, it's a lion. He's Jesus. Come on. Say one thing for
Sorry.
Say he knows how to get me worked up. My God.
I for those watching, I have a whole video where I spell out my first law takes. Another voice in the wilderness. I think all of them, especially the three main male character perspectives, I find after a while grating, very similar and unsatisfying in their character growth, which is rough. But I will say Abercrombie is a great writer. Like he has a good use of space. I think it's interesting that he's trying to sort of change things up in the genre, and he certainly does. I just find that it, for me, is meaningless and not like in like a cool existential, Albert Camus way, in sort of a hollow reading experience way. For me personally,
you should like Age of Madness more, by the way.
The first book I did like much more. It's still not my favorite. Joe Abercrombie is probably Best Served Cold. Total. That's a really, really good standalone.
Interesting.
I did like it. It's going to be. I'm very curious to see where the next couple books go, because I have strong thoughts about the French Revolution, which he's like clearly like taking some inspiration from. So I'm curious to see where that goes. But yeah, I did like that much better than the first law.
Yeah, I think Age of Madness is just absurdly tight. And I also find the French Revolution pretty fascinating. And I would say he's pulling a lot from the French Revolution. He's really going all in on it. Also, it's very neat that the world actually moves forward in technology and stuff. I think that that's really cool for a guy who doesn't think about world building at all. You know, for him to actually consider like, oh, well, maybe we should have trains now. Like, that's pretty cool, I think. So, I would like to see more fantasy worlds move forward like that. I think that that would be very neat.
And he does a good job of the tension in like our actual history between when technology gets to such an extent that wealth can be built so quickly, the tension between nobility and then actually the merchants who now own most of the wealth, unlike previously when the nobility did, and how that tension really brings out the worst in both of those groups and leads to suffering in the common people. I think that's a very interesting, like, sort of, I don't know, meta economic message. That is cool that he had it. I in the first book, I don't love all of the ways that he used that, but I think it's a really interesting tale that, like you said, like is not used in the fantasy genre hardly at all. And so I really appreciate that he did do that.
And also, Orso's awesome. Let's be honest.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Orso's
awesome. I like Orso. I like Orso. And he has more than one shtick, which I like. You know, he has layers, which is cool.
He does, and there is some character growth, as you put it, in that series too. So I think you'll find it interesting. I at the very least you'll like it more. So, I'll be surprised if Better Served Cold's your favorite by the end, but maybe. I can never tell with you. I just know that I don't know you, Andy. I thought I knew you. I don't know you at all.
I'm just, you know, I'm an army to myself, you know. I
very
read.
Elusive.
I figure, you know, you never know. I like to keep people guessing.
So before I let you go, I want to know, what's the number one thing you're most excited to read, either at the end of the year or in 2026?
That's a good question. Most excited. Oh, well, this is kind of cheating. So I'm going to say this, I'm going to say another answer, but it's No Life Forsaken. The new Steven Erikson book is certainly going to be what I'm most excited about. My favorite author, and I think he just keeps getting better. And so I'm excited about No Life Forsaken. That's not going to surprise anybody. But outside of that, like as far as like new series that I have not read before, it probably is actually R. Scott Clark's or no, not R. Scott. What's his name? R. Scott Bakker. R. Scott Bakker, who I've heard a lot about. The Malazan community really likes The Darkness That Comes Before in these books, and I've heard they're very philosophical, which I enjoy. So I'm very curious to see what that reading experience is like.
Yeah, it's kicking the gut for sure. I think if you are up for that type of thing, you'll have plenty to say about it. I can say that. Like, you'll read them, and whether you like them or not, whatever, but you will have plenty to say. I think you will enjoy making a video about it. I could see that. If you ever want to discuss those, I'm totally down. I love that series. I think that there's...
Have you read both of them or just the first series?
Yeah.
Both?
And I think the sequels are far better, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know. There's not many of us that have read the sequels, so I don't know what the consensus is, to be honest. The only thing about the sequel series I will tell you is, one, like the series is always talked about how dark it is. It's the sequels that get that reputation. Not so. I mean, the first trilogy is dark, but like the sequels are very, very dark. And also the last two books are really not edited because he broke with his editor, and there was publisher drama and all this other stuff. And I mean, there are like typos in the books, which is kind of crazy.
Interesting.
But it's also like unfettered, unfiltered R. Scott Bakker going metaphysics on everything, and it's wild, like trippy, very trippy.
All right.
The seventh book won Book of the Year for me 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay, that's very high. Yeah, and actually, I think Joanna also has like a very high opinion of those books, so I'm excited to.
Yeah, and Phil didn't like them, so there's a range of opinions on them. Raph, who's big in the Malazan community, he hated the first trilogy. So there's opinions all over the place, and there's a lot to criticize and conversations to be had, and intent and how it was delivered and if it worked, and we could talk all about it. I love that series.
That makes me excited. What are
Yeah.
you most excited to read in 2025 or 26?
I'm not even lying to you. Mage's Blood. I just have a feeling, dude. I just got a feeling. I've been saying that all year. I think that
Yes.
that is going to be pretty tremendous. I also, I guess I could say I am pretty excited to read Mercy of the Gods by James S.A. Corey. I know
Oh,
that it's kind of come and the second one's coming, and like I feel like it's kind of past its popularity phase, but
yeah.
I've just been really into sci-fi lately, and I love Daniel Abraham, and I think Mercy of the Gods, knowing what it's about, and a lot of people said it was boring, which is like perfect for me. I love when books are boring. It's my favorite thing. So that's probably the two that I've been most in, most excited for. I'm also just thrilled to continue Ishiguro and Percival Everett. Those are just two authors I'm always jonesing to read more of. Um, Jane Eyre's up there. Jane Eyre, which,
Oh, that's great book.
by
You
the
have you
way,
read Jane Eyre, or is this a reread?
no, I've never read, and I did not know this. And I feel, and I, this, I'm just honest, and everyone can make fun of me. Did not realize that Emily Bronte and Charlotte Bronte were two different people. The fact that they're
And they're
sisters and they both
sisters.
wrote a classic is insane in my defense.
Hmm.
But I think I was on here like last week talking about Emily Bronte this, Jane Eyre that, and no one corrected me. Everyone just let me be an idiot. And I'm
You
just,
weren't talking about Wuthering Heights. Maybe they just thought you were really like switching back and forth
well,
so easily with your literary knowledge.
I was talking about Wuthering Heights because I actually ended up, I got paired with a British school, a British guy who moved here and is a school teacher on the golf course. And I said, hey, have you read Jane Eyre? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, have you read Wuthering Heights? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, Wuthering Heights, I like it a lot, but it's a bit dense. I said, is Jane Eyre easier? And he kind of looked at me like, why am I comparing the two? And he's like, they're two different people. And I'm like, oh, oh.
Uh, they're sisters. I guess it makes sense. Jane Eyre is a much more readable book than Wuthering Heights. I think pretty clearly. I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah, I read the first. So I bought both, and I read the first 3 chapters of Wuthering Heights just to try it out. And it was kind of dense, but I really love the vibe. The gothic vibe for me is just, I love it. I love it so much. That's why I also want to read Rebecca. Very
Oh yeah,
famous.
Du Maurier. I've not read that one, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, I know Murphy loves it, and I think Murphy's read another book by her that she loves. And so, anyways, the Wuthering Heights, I was like, oh, okay, but I kind of want to read.
Jamaica Inn?
Is it?
Jamaica Inn? Is that another Du Maurier
I
book?
think so.
Anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, I think you're right. But Jane Eyre apparently is very different because it's written by someone else.
A different human. Yeah, you learn something new every day.
Yes, that's right. You sure do. And you can have a book channel and people take your recommendations and you can just be completely wrong half the time, which is kind of my it's kind of my MO at this point. Sometimes, Andy, I feel like I have this channel and I'm always like surprised by how many people like come and hang out and watch or whatever. And then I think, am I the jester? Am I the jester? Like people tune in and they're like, at least I'm not as dumb as that guy.
Everyone has their place, Jimmy. People love jesters.
I don't even have a
just
cool hat.
not yet. Not yet. That's coming next season. When you get to 100, I'm expecting a silly hat.
I do have to do some. I do have to dress up for 100. I might have to put.
Do you have big plans for the 100? Like, is this going to be like a big
Yeah,
thing?
yeah. I have some plans, and it's going to be interesting to see if I can kind of pull it all off because it's going to require a lot of coordination. But yes, I do have a plan. I might even bust out the Malazan postmodern suit look that you're so famous for with your little cup
Get some
of
tea.
tea.
Yep, you got to get some tea. People love the tea.
They do love the tea, dude.
Speaking of jester, speaking of being jesters.
Yeah. When I think of you, I think of that video though, because I remember watching it and I finished. I said, "Man, that video was amazing." I still have no idea what postmodernism is.
Oh, that's still the highlight of my booktube life. And Steven Erickson commenting on it was so cool.
He did, and he said, "Didn't he say I've been waiting like years for someone to break it down like this?" And pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was very very touching. I was like 100. I was very small channel when I made that, but just like I made my channel to make that video. So it was really cool.
It's awesome.
I'm very, very privileged. Molassen's great. Postmodernism is cool. Jimmy's being modest. He knows exactly what it is.
I still don't know.
He reads Michel Foucault at night just for fun. He's brilliant.
I'd read that over Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. I can tell you that. Rid said, can't believe Andy invented postmodernism in 2020. Me either. Big,
Pretty impressive.
True. And Sam, the 100th episode should be in 2 to 3 weeks. I got like a kind of a weird couple weeks coming up. So it might be more towards the back end of October, depending, but it's coming. It's coming.
People waiting.
Yes. Well, Andy, I'm not going to take up any more of your time on a Friday. I appreciate you so much for coming here, giving me your time, and letting me poke some fun at you and your stupid little children's series that you're reading. And I think it's just... I'm kidding. I can't even.
Thank you for letting me come on and making fun of you for your inadequate Bronte knowledge and your cool little jester hat.
You know what? Anytime, dude. And honestly, I'm always super happy whenever you're back and you're making videos. And you seem like you're in a great place. You do, like I told you before, you do a lot of things, and you seem to be good at all of them, and that's pretty awesome. And we're certainly a better community with you here. Of course, man. I've always loved your opinions, even when I disagree with them. I've always thought that you're well spoken, and you come at it from a you perspective, which is nice. It's refreshing. So I hope that we can do some discussions in the near future. Probably No Life Forsaken, I'm assuming.
Yes, we need to do. I think you floated this last, like just like a huge like Malazan reader, No Life Forsaken, boondoggle of a live show. I think that'd be a delight.
I want to max out the screen capacity. I want it to be the collabs of collabs.
20 people.
Yes.
Unwatchable, but we would have a great time.
It's really, there's only gonna be 12 of us there and maybe Steven Erickson. It'll be great. I would love for you to tell people where they can find you online and where they can vote for you.
Sure. Yeah. If you live in District 25B in Minnesota, you can vote for Andy Smith, upcoming in 2026. But more importantly, for this particular channel, Andy Smith Reviews, go give a like and subscribe. That'd be fun. I just started making videos again in May after a long hiatus. Jimmy, thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a joy. I joked with Rid today. We were talking on Discord, and I was like, I'm a little nervous. I'm going to the big time, going to chatting with Nuts. Who that 19,000. Thank you for having me on here. It's so fun, and it is like like on BookTube, it feels like we have like classes, like you're graduated 09, and I feel like we're in the same class. Like a lot of us are kind of came up in that same time. Philip Chase as well. Mm-hmm. Like Rid is one of them. Alan feels like the people who kind of like, I don't know what it was, like summer 2020 is where we really like started pouring ourselves into it, and so it's a delight to be on here. I love watching your channel. I think you're great. So thank you for inviting me on here. This was so much fun.
You're welcome anytime. And class of 2020 still going strong. We're still doing the damn thing. And by the way, Eric Blinn said he's going to register and write in Joe Abercrombie.
He doesn't believe anything, Eric.
And K Fox said you should aim higher, which you should. I think you maybe get out of the district and go broader, possibly.
To North Carolina? I don't know. It's hot down there.
It is. Very, very humid. Andy, thank you for being here. Chat, thank you for being the third guest. As always, you guys are always wonderful, adding good insights, asking good questions, and trolling me unmercifully. But we'll be back for episode 100 towards the end of October. And I think it's going to be a really good time. So I hope that you'll join us. And if you like this, you can hit like. If you dislike it, you can hit dislike. If you love to think about subscribing, there is a Patreon in the description. It's optional, but always appreciated. Until we see you next time, be good, be safe, and remember to always keep turning the page.